But
Yeah.
one of the things that you said, I think is interesting, and I kind of want to ask this question because there's a concept about what food is. And so I want to ask that question because it might sound like it's a simplistic question, but it really isn't. And especially it being defined in this particular world with GMOs and all this stuff going on. What is food?
It's an interesting question. I never thought of it quite like that. Food is what gives us, provides nutrition to sustain life. And a lot of the things that people are consuming really aren't food. Here's when you go in the store and you see an apple, an orange, carrot, there's no label on it that gives you the ingredients that are in it. It's real, it's food, you can eat it. Now, we can talk about the quality of the produce. But you go in the center of the store, I tell people always, you get a can, first of all, you shouldn't be eating stuff in the can. And here's why. You pick it up, you look at the label, too often you can't pronounce what's in it. You don't know what it is. If you don't know, don't eat it. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. Don't put it in your body. If it has more than 5 ingredients, it's not food. So food is what's natural, what you find out here in creation, what God created for us to consume. And I think that's the big mistake with agriculture today. It doesn't emulate nature. Let me make a positive statement. What we have done with my work through Truly Living Well and all the things that I've done before is to the very best attempts that we can muster is to emulate nature in all aspects of the work. There's nobody out in the woods putting chemicals on the ground, doing soil tests. The trees drop their leaves. The leaves break down. They're digested by the earthworms, the millipedes, the centipedes, all the fungus and mycorrhiza that's in the soil. And that's the system that God created. So the organic agriculture that we have taught at Truly Living Well and that I've carried throughout my whole life has been to emulate nature as much as possible. And that's what we've done. The best indication of the quality of the soil of the number of earthworms that you find. If you don't have any worms in your soil, it's dead. It has no life in it. And this is why they add the chemicals to it. Now, we just had in the news last night and today, a perfect example of why we need to have pre-industrial regenerative agriculture is what we want to promote. And I can explain that. The point I want to make here is that explosion in Beirut, Lebanon, was gunpowder that was stored for use as fertilizer. Think about that now. They blew up that tire. The whole city's been affected by this explosion. Hundreds of people, at least 100 people. That's what they're reporting now. They haven't uncovered everything. Thousands of people that are injured because gunpowder, fertilizer exploded. You can see all the grain laying on the ground over there by those silos. It's only half going to now. And that's how the food was grown. And that's the stuff they wanted people to eat. It's unfortunate. And how that evolved, after the Second World War, all those munition manufacturers still wanted to continue making money. And they decided to take that gunpowder and sell it to the farmers so they could keep on manufacturing. And God didn't intend the ammonium nitrate to be put into the soil because it kills everything. All right. And you cannot GMO, genetically modified organizations, that GMO stands for God Move Over. Because these folks think the soil scientists, the plant scientists think they know better than God. And that's how they're going to try and grow this food that they would give to us. And it's killing us. If you go back and trace the history, right after the Second World War, during Wallace, Henry Wallace was Secretary of Agriculture before he became the Vice President. He owned Pioneer Seed Company, which was one of the first to introduce hybrids into the system. And he hired Norman Borlaug to do the research on wheat, rice, and corn. Borlaug eventually got a Nobel Peace Prize for the Green Revolution, which is killing people. You go look at health statistics and you'll see from end of the Second World War, there's a straight rise in the dis-ease in this country. That's when people started eating all this garbage food, getting fat, sick. And then in 1996, there was a spike in these pandemic dis-ease when GMOs were introduced. So we got to get all that stuff out of our ag system. Big ag is broken. That system does not work anymore. And the contradiction between big ag and small farms and urban agriculture were heightened during this COVID pandemic. Here in Atlanta, back in March, when the shutdown began, the big ag, you got pictures on television of big ag turning food into the ground. Can you imagine that waste of grow food and then turn it in the ground because their transportation system and distribution system broke down? But you know who made a lot of money? It was the small farmers and the urban agriculturists. We used to talk about a local food movement, but that language is inappropriate today because the paradigm has shifted. We have created local food economies, and what's necessary is for that to expand and to scale up. When I came to Atlanta, you were hard pressed to find a farmer's market. Now there's one every day somewhere, and so we've seen that grow. So all these things are connected. International politics is all part of it. I could go on for hours describing these connections, and that's part of my work, is trying to help people understand how much we are a part of the environment in which we live, and it's up to us to make sure that we create and maintain the systems that we want to see manifested for us and the generations that follow. The Native Americans say that we don't control or own or control the earth. We only have, we take care of it. It's our inheritance that we need to pass on to our progeny. And I believe that sincerely.